Arkansas snaps a 3-game losing streak and probably secures their place, if it wasn't already secure, in the NCAA tournament by winning an SEC tournament game against Auburn by a score of 76-73. This is Arkansas basketball recap. I'm Dan Price. That's Jacob Price. Coming in a little bit late. New baby, man. It's just the way it is, It's just the way it is. Sometimes you got to start these games late. It's what it is. Who knows? We might be making 2 videos today. Dropping this one, recording another one tonight, dropping that one. Hopefully we're making another one after that. It's fine. It's what we want. It was a great game. Arkansas played really well for stretches. I mean, really well for stretches of this game. Let Auburn kind of completely take back a 15-point lead to the point where down the stretch with like a minute or so left, Auburn actually led for the first time since 2-0 in the game. They got up by 1. Nick Smith, looking for that distinct moment, that Nick Smith moment. You got it in this game where Nick Smith comes down, hits a tough, clutch baseline jumper, puts Arkansas ahead in the final minute, and they never lost the lead again after that. Other big notes: Devo plays 40 minutes, never comes out of the game. He was taking Wendell Green real personally, but managed to not get teed up or thrown out. And Anthony Black plays his best game in a long time, and Anthony Black was he was awesome in this game. Okay, that's the game. What's the recap for you?
Well, I mean, first, really felt like we needed this one. I know all the pundits and stuff have us in regardless, but I still worried greatly about if Vanderbilt wins another game or two, and if we lost this game, if Vanderbilt's record got even with ours, their actual overall record, which I think if we had lost and they had won, I think we'd been flush, right?
I have to look, but maybe.
And I'm like I
Close
said,
enough, and
even
they beat us head to head, so and they have a
and
better
they beat
conference
us head
record.
to head, and especially if they were to win. I mean, they did win last night, but if they were to have win another game, I mean, if you're on
Mm-hmm.
a 4-game losing streak and this other team is hot as fire, wins a couple of games in the tournament, it was starting to really make me nervous about what the conversation that could start to bubble. You know how it works. I mean, like conversation starts to bubble up as teams watch. These games are high profile games,
Dude,
and teams start.
you don't want to go into Selection Sunday on a 4-game losing streak.
And all it takes is these things, they get momentum. Like, it doesn't matter what articles people write 4 days ago. You know what I mean? Like, these things, when people are watching them live, if Vanderbilt has a magical moment in this tournament, like just a close, hard fought overtime game where someone hits a buzzer beater, it's like these conversations start to bubble up. Like, well, shouldn't they be in front of? I mean, look at this team. I mean, I know they're a
Mm-hmm.
lot of hype, but they've lost 4 games, and this team's really grounded. Like, it's just not something that you wanted to have. And I feel like we've made it where even if we lose this next game, which I mean, I would love to not do that. And I actually think I'm not really scared of A&M any more than, like, if we were playing Alabama, I'd be like, I don't expect to win that game. I think we can beat A&M. Not that we will, but we definitely are capable of it.
Well,
Um,
we've already done it once this year.
yeah. So I mean, I like that matchup. So um, that really felt a sense of relief winning that game. As far as the overall game, it had some interesting moments like Nick Smith finally, like really hitting a big shot for us. And honestly, even just as a team, that's a shot and a way an end of a game that we haven't had go that way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that game was going the way that all of our close losses have gone. I mean, it's hard to remember now, but most of our close losses have gone exactly like that game. We've played really well for a large portion of the game. We've usually had an 8 to 10 point lead. We've let it bleed out in the final minutes, and we lose by 2 or 3 points. And we really, that game could have been exactly the same way. It's what we've been talking about. It just comes down to a ball bouncing your way, and um, Nick Smith hit that shot, and Devo buried those free throws. I mean, because even if Devo, that's being under, to me, like,
Dude, a huge part of this game. If you want to know, I mean, there's a lot of things. We destroyed them on the boards, which really was a big reason we won this game. But one thing that was definitely different from this game than some of the previous games that we've talked about is we made free throws. Just
That
overall made
that
free
entire
throws. Had to.
that entire lead was free throws. Like
Mm-hmm.
the different that's what we've been talking about. Like in those other games where other teams have an 8-point lead on us and we're missing free throws, it's like those games would have been 2 to 3 point games if we had made our free throws instead of 8 to 11 point
And
games.
by made our free
Whereas
throws, I'm not talking about anything crazy. I'm just talking about we shot 74% from the line as opposed to 62%. That's all I'm talking about. Like it's just that. It's just that amount, you know. It's
Mhm.
making 17 so we shot 17 of 23. It's not insane, but like it's enough as opposed to 14 of 23. It's a huge difference. I know it doesn't seem like it was 3 points, but you lose this game.
Yeah, well, it makes it. I mean, everybody knows it's the reason you go to the free throw line. Like we are an aggressive team. We don't shoot the three well, so we attack the paint and we get to the free throw line a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have these guys like Council and people attacking, the bodies of these defenders down low and getting to the line, but they're just bricking them, that's just good defense then. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like if you're not if I mean rather than give somebody a momentum, pushing sick dunk or even just a power play where they muscle through you, just foul them, put them to the line, and if they only shoot 60%, you're taking 1 point instead of two. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, you just make it where fouling doesn't end up actually just being pretty good defense, which
Yeah.
in
Well, one of the things that I loved about this game was that we played our game. We didn't shoot a ton of threes. We just came out there and the Mitchell twins looked back. I mean, they kind of like disappeared for a couple games. I don't know what was going on. Uh, yeah, actually, we had Makai had a big play back to the basket. Really important score down the stretch. Um, and if you listen to, I was listening to Bruce Pearl talk about it, and he just said, hey, uh, they were more physical than us. Like we did not match their physicality, and that's what it looked like. I think that's right. Arkansas came out and said we're bigger than you, position by position. Our guards are bigger than yours. We're just
the
gonna
guard
be more
rebounding,
physical.
yeah, the guard rebounding, and I mean, we had a lot of plays where a ball just barely came off, and Black or Walsh or even Nick Smith were there to either just dunk the rebound or at least get their hands on it and kick it
Dude,
back out.
dude, Anthony Black and Devo Davis combined for 16 rebounds. Those are your two guards. Those are your two starters. That's your point guard and your off guard. 16 rebounds between the two of them. That's what I mean. You can win a lot of games if your guard's going to get you 16 boards. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Devo Davis played 40 minutes. And if you look at it, if you're like, okay, Devo Davis, what did he do? He had 7 points, he had 3 assists, but he had 10 rebounds. Devo Davis had 10 boards in this game. It's huge, man. And
Yeah,
and he played hard. I mean, he played 40 minutes and then he was playing hard. I mean, like
yeah, that
guarding his
guy,
butt off.
that guy was that guy's a tough cover. I mean, he's small, but he's fast and he's shifty and he's very smart. And you could tell he was motivated. He
Mm-hmm.
wanted to win that game, and almost did. And actually, the other guy, and that's actually the guy we were talking about this earlier. I know that what's his name, Green. He
Mm-hmm.
was the one that Devo dunked kind of in his face, and he almost like went after Devo, and he felt. I mean, I'm sure that haunts his nightmares. It would mine. I mean, there's nothing worse than losing and getting posterized and kind of disrespected at the same time. But it's actually the other guy, Johnson, that to me has like the punchable face, just like and I mean he's the kind of guy I'm sure if you're an Auburn fan you love him because he's very fiery, he's very physical, but he almost single-handedly won that game for them.
Yeah.
Like he just put his shoulder down and just started making plays. Um, and that was going to really break my heart because that guy bothers me a lot.
Well, it didn't happen. Uh, I thought that there was one play where and this is like I mean it's weird. The back end of the play is the part that you everyone looks at, which is like Ricky Council outlet dunk, like just like crazy dunk. That rebound outlet pass by Devo that was a crazy good look
Mhm.
because you weren't on a fast break. So the ball came down, Council took off, and Devo like caught it and turned and just pinpointed that thing. They made a fast break where there wasn't one. Um, that plays like that are when you're in the flow.
Yeah, Devo had another play that probably wasn't, he didn't get an assist for, but he should have. It was a hockey assist, and it could have been a a full assist. I think it was to Black.
And
He
then
was
Black shoveled
dribbling.
it over to Mikel.
Yeah, and I think if Black had known that pass was coming, he could have handled. He like didn't quite handle it perfectly,
Mm,
but it was a really good look, like a
yeah.
really hard angle, and just like scooped it around his defender. So I mean, he played really well.
And had to play 40 minutes. I mean, like you almost feel like it's tournament, it's March, and Musselman is just telling Devo like you're the only guy that's been here before, so get ready to knock him out of the game unless you're in foul trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was another part of the big story is, and it's just hard to control this. I do think that they definitely played more disciplined defense with the angles and stuff. Like we've been complaining about that. They did not get they got some, but they didn't make nearly as many, you know, they actually had a harder time fighting through some. I mean, Auburn does some really, really good complex screening,
Mm-hmm.
like where they do multiple screens. The guy that they're screening, it's not for the reason you think. You know what I mean? They're not screening the player to get him the look. It's to get a different guy across the court who's getting screened to look. And we did get lost on a few screens, but our straight line defense, staying in front of the guards and not letting them just get to their strong hand and be able to just drive it all the way to the basket, that was greatly improved. And you saw it by, because the thing we've been doing the last few games is not only giving up straight line hard drives to the basket from some of the point guards, but also if they didn't get the bucket, we've been getting out of position and then just fouling. And we've just
Mm-hmm.
been doing a ton of out of position fouling, trying to sneak in there from behind when you're out of position. And they didn't do as much of that. And it's like some of it just comes down to the refs don't blow the whistle as much. And I did think these refs let them play a little bit more. They didn't call quite as much ticky tack stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but not being in just constant foul trouble and not just having 14 minutes of one and one free throws helped too. It just helped the game not just be. It felt like our last 3 or 4 games have just been so sluggish in the final. So like you
Yeah.
get to play the first 5 minutes the way you want, and then the last 15 minutes it's just fouls and free
Yeah.
throws, and there's no way to build any kind of momentum. Um, and we managed that with the exception of, I don't know about that technical foul. I'm not trying to be a homer, but
Oh,
that
dude,
that looked
dude,
that was that
dude.
just that looked
That
like
was
just.
weak.
I'll give him a dead ball foul. He kind of extended his hands. It's not a technical. Like the guy was on him. Like
Yeah.
they were on each other, and like he extended his arms and the guy was off balance in the air and he fell down. But I don't think that you could say that there was anything like it's not a basketball play, or he stuck an elbow out there, or he saw that he was in the air and tried to take his legs out from under him. Like he just kind of shoved him a little. Like that happens on every rebound. Guys shove each
Yeah.
other with their arms. You know, it's like, I don't know. That felt, and then actually that was a huge.
4 points.
Yeah, and I mean they got the, it just was a momentum killer and for us and a builder for them. So like that I mean, I was definitely sitting there and I was building the narrative in my head as they took the lead there. Where I mean, I didn't get to do it for very long because Nick Smith came right back down and shot. But I was just like, as they were, building them, I'm like, well, here we go. Goddamn Hogs. Here we go. They're going to do it again. They're just going to blow this whole season. And then, oh, yep. Well, they got the lead. Well, okay. Well, I'm going to go on that podcast and be like, well, that's, we suck and we just deserve what we get. Like, well, here we go again, stupid. And like, that's all going through your head. And then just, 5 seconds later, come on, guys. So, uh,
That's yeah.
it definitely
Yeah.
was. I was going to be focused on that that technical foul. Like, God dang those refs, because not that would have been another one of those things where it's like that didn't lose us the game,
But didn't
but
help anything.
that definitely was not helpful for them mounting that comeback. But long story
Uh,
short, though, man, we got the win, and I'm excited about maybe trying to make a run and actually having like I said, my expectations are feel like I've dropped them down a little bit, so now I can just anything good that happens, I'll be happy about, you know.
yeah, yeah, I think so. Um, Anthony Black, player of the game for you?
Actually, what were the stats? I mean,
Anthony Black has 19 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals. So at
dude,
19 points, had 6 assists, 6 rebounds, had the 2 steals. I just thought he was really good. He was also 6 of 10. I mean, shot 60%, made 7 of 9 from the free throw line. I just thought they didn't have an answer for him.
yeah, he did put. I did notice, especially I think it was in the first half when they sat him a little bit. It did feel like the offense got a lot more stagnant. He was
Mm-hmm.
a little bit better at. I think just because his body's so big, he when he probes a little bit, they really got to worry about whether or not he's going to drive.
Probe all the way to the bucket. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Whereas they're able to uh expect their big man to just be able to turn away a lot of the other guys. He can really put that shoulder down and finish from pretty hard angle. I mean, he's definitely got that scoop layup when he gets,
yeah.
to that strong hand. Um,
But yeah, also he had 6 rebounds, but 3 of them were offensive rebounds, and they were
yeah, yeah.
big. Those were big ones.
How did 2 times I was like, to go like, oh no, just when we're like doing well, this is going to happen. When Jordan Walsh all of a sudden was like, put his back out, and I was like,
Yeah,
that doesn't look good.
took himself
And he
out of
was,
the game. You're like, that's
and he
not
was,
one.
well, and he was playing really well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had gotten, I think at that point, he had gotten 2 putback dunks, and uh, I was just like, oh no. And then when Anthony Black slipped and then was just like grabbing it, I'm like, that those non those non-contact, just like slippy, like I was like,
That
if
was that
that's
was
an
a bum that was a bummer for him too because they scored on that and that wasn't like his fault or anything. Like I don't know wet spot or what, but you just saw him go, "Phew." Like I mean, just slip.
and it was at a bad time too. I mean,
Yeah,
that was right.
yeah. But then you're
But
like,
no,
oh, torn hamstring.
yeah, I was afraid like an Achilles popped or something just because he's grabbing his leg. I was like, oh, I mean, that's I don't know if we
Yeah.
can do. I don't know if we can do anything about that, dude. If we can't use it as an excuse anymore. Having guys go down because we do have Nick Smith back and we've had him back for a few games, but we can't take any more. Like
Oh well, dude. I mean,
we need all these guys.
I mean, Nick Smith is back, but I'll tell you this right now: Anthony Black gets hurt, and we're going nowhere in the tournament. No,
Yeah.
I mean, we got to have him.
Hmm.
So just before we wrap up, did you find this interesting? I thought this was interesting. Um, Devo played 40 minutes. Anthony Black played 37 minutes. Ricky Council played 33 minutes. Uh, Nick Smith plays 27 minutes. Jordan Walsh 21. Mackay plays 24. Mikkel plays 8. Jalen Grant plays 2. Kamani Johnson starts, but only plays 8 minutes. All that seems fine. Nick Smith 27 minutes. It did seem like Muss had left him on the bench for longer stretches than he had been.
Um, yeah, I mean he gotten a second foul, so he sat a little bit in the first half. He
Mm-hmm.
probably because he I think he got kind of he sat, got a rest, came in, picked up a quick foul, sat again. So I think he sat I think I could be wrong, but I think Musselman probably would have liked to have him closer to like 32, 34 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And he just didn't because he had to sit a couple of more minutes in the first half. I think he probably would have liked to have him have about 5 more minutes in that.
Yeah.
And I think he would have in the end of the first half because I think he went out with like 6 minutes to go in the half and sat for a good chunk of it. Um, I think if he'd gotten those, it would have looked more normal. I don't think that's anything like, uh, you know, so I don't think I don't think that'll be
Was
common.
it was not a strategy.
I don't think so. I think you'll
Yeah.
see I think you'll see all those guys try to play about 32 minutes. Don't
Yeah,
you think?
well, the exception of Devo, who might not
Mm.
come out of the game going forward if he's not in foul trouble.
And maybe Anthony Black, if he doesn't, if he's feeling good and stuff, he may still,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe up closer to 36.
yeah, I expect Devo Davis and Anthony Black to lead the team in minutes down the stretch.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they're really the only two guys that don't um like what they do is sort of there's nobody to come in for them
Mm-hmm.
exactly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Nick Smith doesn't do exactly what Anthony Black does, and Walsh is close to doing what Devo does, but not quite. So
Yeah.
you can take Council out, and Nick Smith can just take over the sort of
And
scoring.
playing 40 minutes doesn't seem like it affects Devo at all. Like, I mean, I know sometimes he gets foul trouble, so he can't, but like, I mean, I'm sure he's in great shape. He looks like he's in great shape, but it doesn't look like he struggles to play the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't seem to slow down really. Like I do notice that Anthony Black does seem to, when he has to play 40 minutes, he seems like he does get exhausted in the final minutes,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of these games. So I like when he gets to sit, 5 to 6 minutes and not
Yeah.
have to play straight through, so he can
Yeah.
be fired up for I've noticed that in the Kentucky game,
Yeah.
he looked exhausted,
Oh,
and he
yeah.
looked really good in the first, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes. And then he started to really look beleaguered towards the
Mm-hmm.
end. But
You don't see that in Devo though. I don't see that in Devo.
no. Um, I mean, you can see, too, Anthony Black's got,
He's got
quite a
more to
bit.
he's got more to carry up and down the court than Devo.
Yeah, he's got that blood's got to circulate a lot farther. Like, that
Yeah.
guy's legs and hips and body is just crazy. Yeah, I will say overall, like this game, I still, not to like put a pall on it, but I do think that they, this was a good version of what they've been doing. But like you said, they basically nothing changed a lot. It didn't feel like they necessarily, like, I don't feel like, oh yeah, we figured something out. It feels like they just made some free throws. They finished a lot of those layups.
Well,
They
it looked
rebound.
better. It looked better than Tennessee in the sense that we didn't look like Tennessee came out and punched us in the face physically, like, with their physicality, and we didn't match it. Uh, we were the aggressor in this game from a physicality standpoint, which that's good, because um, we can't win games if we're going to get out physical, because that's our whole thing. Is like we're trying to get points in the paint. We got bigger guards, we got big dudes, we're long. Um, so Tennessee just came out and did us better than us, and we can't let anyone do that, right? And the reason I say that is because Auburn did do that to us when we played them earlier in the year, and we lost. And Broom was like a huge problem, and we did get out physical, and we just didn't let them do that this game. We said nobody's going to. You might be Arkansas has to have the mentality of you might be able to play as physical as us, but you can't play more physical than us, and that's how they have to come out. You have to match our physicality. We will not be out physical, and I felt like they did that, and that is an improvement.
Yeah, to me, it felt like if they improved on one thing that I noticed, it was because the other things, they're not really improvements. They're just sometimes things go better than other times. Like if you compare it to the Kentucky game, the things that they did differently is just make free throws and finish those points in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
And in the reversal was actually Auburn's experience looked a lot like what we experienced against Kentucky, which is Auburn had a lot of shots in the paint that just bounced that we affected for playing good position defense, and they just rimmed out, came off the glass a little bit. Like they missed a lot of shots. I don't think they shot as bad as we did against Kentucky, but they it felt a little bit like that. Like if I was an Auburn fan, I'd be like, come on, can one of those just go in? And
I
conversely,
mean,
we
they shot 49%, which is that's pretty good, for the game Auburn did. Of course, Arkansas shot 56%. I mean, we shot 56% for the game. I mean, you're gonna win most games if you do that.
Mhm. But
Tell you what, if Arkansas doesn't turn the ball over 19 times, which what's weird about that? Yeah, I looked at that stat. I didn't feel like we were turning the ball over a ton because they weren't those stupid, careless turnover. I don't know. I can't
I was
even
gonna
tell you
say,
where they all are.
how many points off of turnovers did they get?
I don't know. I don't have that stat, but we've had games with less turnovers that felt worse because of just
Hmm.
because of the kind of turnovers they were. And 19 is way too many, but like it's about 9 too many. But it didn't. I mean, I didn't finish that game being like, man, turnovers almost cost us that game or anything. It just the turnovers that you hate and that you just I can't deal with are the lazy pass turnovers that get picked off, to throw the ball. When we played Tennessee, it was like, let's get in the air and throw this ball to the assistant coach on the bench. Like those kind of, and it wasn't that kind of stuff.
Against
Maybe it's
Tennessee,
like stepping on the out of bounds line, or I don't, stuff like that.
it is subtle, but against Tennessee, I did feel like their defense was so physical and aggressive that it felt like, and you can sometimes see like people, all of the players, like they didn't really relish the idea of having the ball. I mean, it's a
Mm-hmm.
subtle thing, but like you can see sometimes when like they're coming to the ball and they're trying to get it, they want to score, and like then in that game, it felt like everyone was like, please somebody else score because
Yeah,
like and if and, like you could even see that with like Anthony Black. It was like he was trying to get rid of the ball sooner than he needed to, instead of like, let me see if I can go in there and attack and then try to find somebody. It was like, you do it, you know what I mean? And we actually got some turnovers off of like overpassing in times we didn't need to. But the other thing I think that we did better than in Kentucky in this game is we just were able to defend without fouling as much.
mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and
We were disciplined defensively, I felt like.
I wonder, I'd like to know if Musselman had them work on that because um, I mean, like I said, there's just nothing you can do about it. Refs just call ticky tack stuff, but it's been noticeable the last couple of games that our defenders have been out of position on drives, and they weren't so much last night. And
Yeah.
like I said, maybe it was just reffing a little bit, but like it felt like that we can win. We have a way better chance of winning if we can stay out of foul trouble like that and keep teams from just being able to because it changes the way Bevo and Walsh and those guys can play. One, obviously, if they've got 3 to 4 fouls at near the end of the game, but also just knowing that every time you try to take any chance, any swipe at the ball, they're
Yeah.
going to the line for two.
Yeah.
It's just like you can't play the same kind of defense. And being able to play hard defense for 14 minutes before they're going to the line every time versus 6. It feels like we've been in the bonus. We've been at 7 fouls in the first 6 minutes, like of every half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I do think that's the key thing to look at going forward is if our guys can, as a team, not get an early foul, those fouls packed up early, and get those teams where they're going to the line every time, and we're not able to play as aggressive defense. And obviously, then just the burden of having to have guys sit. But all those things are kind of a big deal for us.
Yeah. 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 And congrats to Devo for getting on the all SEC defensive team. Good job, guy.
All right. Well, I'll see you this evening.
All right,
Uh,
man.
do it again.
I will go Hogs. Let's get Texas A&M because I'm about that. I want Kentucky.
Hmm.
That's it.
I wouldn't.
So
I wouldn't. I mean, also, I don't know if you saw after the game. Like, I might be misreading this, but I think they, they had the guys and they had Ricky Council and Anthony Black come and talk to the whatever they call it, the little horseshoe,
mm-hmm.
bench, and they were talking to him. And right as they came in, Anthony Black was pointing to Council and going, "Oh, look up there, look up there!" And they were smiling, and it looked like they were seeing something happy. But I think they were what there was a bunch of Auburn. I mean, there's a bunch of Hogs fans too, and that's what Council was looking at. Anthony Black was pointing out there were some Vanderbilt fans, because Vanderbilt was warming up, and uh, they were up there, and I think they were like going wah to Anthony Black or Council, and I actually can't remember that game now. I'm not sure how it exactly went.
Remember where it's that was the game where somebody did something. Anthony Black did this at the free throw line.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
forgot about
I
that.
can't remember that. We talked about it on the podcast, but like the something happened. Like this guy was complaining. Anthony Black got fouled. I think the guy was complaining that he didn't foul him or that Anthony Black like shoved him or something. I think he kind of did. I think maybe Anthony Black kind of hooked him a little bit and then like threw himself on the ground and they get, and then fans were booing and stuff. And Anthony Black started doing this at the free throw line.
Hmm. Yeah, that sucks too. I mean, dude, I don't. It's hard to hate Vanderbilt because they're just
Yeah.
one of those, teams
Which, by
that.
the way, Anthony Black's not really that. I mean, we didn't know him that well then, but he's not really that guy either.
Mhm. But that's funny because like he took it well. He was like pointing, he was
Yeah,
laughing about it, and apparently
yeah.
there was Vanderbilt fans up there doing that to him. Um, but I mean, I would like to, I'm not. It's hard to root against Vanderbilt because they're an underdog, but I'm not happy about that loss.
No, I'm not. I don't like
That
that
loss
loss.
sucked too.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go further than them.
Yes. Yes. Indeed. Well,
Although
we're
of all the SEC teams, if another team has to like, I'll take the lowest man on the totem pole having success over pretty much any of the other teams. You know what I mean? Just because,
yeah.
I mean, they're just a downtrodden franchise.
Who
So
does so Vanderbilt's got? Let's see. So we got the games that are left this. So tonight you got Mississippi State. Nope. Hold on, wrong thing. Yeah,
we're
so you have
first,
Mississippi.
huh?
You have Mississippi State versus Alabama at noon. You've
Oh, that's
got
today at noon.
Tennessee versus Missouri at 2:30. Arkansas versus Texas A&M at 6, and Vanderbilt versus Kentucky at 8:30.
I didn't realize that. We're lucky that that game's in the evening. I would kill myself if that game was at noon. I'd never be able to keep, from finding out what happened that long.
No. So, all right. Well, man, let's win another one. Get to that SEC Final Four. That would be good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
All right. See you, man.
See ya. Bye.